We want strong borders. We want people coming into our country legally through a process. We want people that are going to love and help our country. And I don't think they feel the same way. Or maybe they just don't want us to get a vote. You know, it could be that too, because it's hard to believe that they don't want some form of protection. And with that, I have to say, I thought it was a very good meeting. When you left, when the press left, we had a fairly long meeting, and we really discussed a lot of great subjects. Mike, come on over. Mike Pence, come on over, Mike.
The reason I asked you, President, was Middle Close came back to bills, and now you own the idea of a government shutdown.
I don't mind. No. You know what? I could have debated Chuck Schumer for a long period of time, because he was saying, it's yours, it's your idea. And then finally I said, look, I don't mind. I don't know. What do you think? What do you guys think? I don't mind having the issue of border security on my side. If we have to close down the country over border security, I actually like that in terms of an issue, but I don't want it to be an issue. I want it to be something that the country needs. It's not really an issue. It's something the country needs. It's common sense. The country needs it. We need protection. We need border security. We need security from drugs that are pouring into our country. They're coming in right through that southern border, and we need a wall. We need border security, and part of border security is a wall. So I don't mind owning that issue. I mean, Chuck's problem is that, you know, when we last closed down, that was his idea. And honestly, he got killed. And so he doesn't want to own it. And I said, you know what, rather than us debating who's owning it, I'll take it. I'll take it. If we close down the country, I will take it, because we're closing it down for border security. And I think I win that every single time. Okay? Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Press, let's go. Make your way out.
Very much.
Let's go.
President Trump, just a few minutes ago in the Oval Office. Welcome to The Lead. I'm Jake Tapper, and you've been listening to the president talking about the extraordinary scene in the Oval Office that we saw earlier today. Democratic leaders Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer did something that we haven't seen a politician do in a couple of years. They directly challenged President Trump on his policies, his insults, and his falsehoods. The meeting came amidst their fight over government funding and the very real risk of a government shutdown 10 days from now if President Trump refuses to budge from his demand for $5 billion of funding for the border wall he wants to build. President Trump, in the heat of the showdown, delivered a line that could haunt him and the Republican Party, saying that he will proudly own the shutdown if it happens.
If we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you, through a military, through anything you want to call, I will shut down the government.
Okay,
absolutely.
fair enough.
And I am proud, and I'll tell you what,
disagree.
I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck. I will take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it.
President Trump seemed set off by the likely soon-to-be Speaker, Pelosi, after she branded the potential shutdown a Trump shutdown. And boy, that escalated quickly.
You should not have a Trump shutdown. You have the White House.
Did you say Trump?
And the experts say you can do border security without a wall, which is wasteful and doesn't solve the problem.
It totally solves the problem.
But I don't want to take this.
And it's very important.
This has spiraled downward when we came at a place to say, how do we meet the needs of American people who have needs? The economy has, people are losing their jobs, the market's in a mood. Our members are already
Well, we have the lowest unemployment that we've had in 50 years.
60 people of the Republican Party are losing their offices now because of the transition. People are not, the morale
And we've gained
is
in the
not
Senate.
up.
Nancy,
The
we've
morale
gained in the
is
Senate.
not-
Excuse me,
Now-
did we win the Senate?
It's
We
not
won the
the
Senate.
When the president brags that he won North Dakota and Indiana, he's in real trouble.
When
I did.
Let me say this.
We did win
Let me say this.
North Dakota
This
and
is the
Indiana.
most
So if you were wondering what the next 2 years of the Trump presidency might look like, I think we just got a sneak preview. It did not end there. A source tells CNN that after the showdown behind closed doors, Pelosi summed up what she thinks of Trump's focus on the wall, telling Democratic members of the House at a closed-door meeting, quote, "It's like a manhood thing for him, as if manhood could ever be associated with him," unquote. CNN's Caitlin Collins is live for us at the White House. And Caitlin, this meeting today was supposed to be behind closed doors, but President Trump called the cameras in. That was the first hint that this was not going to be a normal negotiation.
And it wasn't a normal negotiation. And when President Trump was speaking in front of reporters just a few minutes ago, he doubled down on what he said during that Oval Office clash with Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, that he will own a government shutdown if it's shutting it down over getting funding for his border wall. Now, when he was just speaking with reporters, he also described it as a friendly meeting, saying that he respects both Schumer and Pelosi. But that is not what we saw play out on the camera earlier when they were pointing fingers at each other, shouting over one another, and cutting each other off.
Okay, thank you very much.
It started out with a laugh.
And then we have the easy one, the wall. That'll be the one that will be the easiest of all. What do you think, Chuck? Maybe not?
It's called funding the government, Mr. President.
But today's Oval Office meeting between President Trump and Democratic leaders Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer quickly descended into chaos as Washington watched talks over funding the president's border wall break down on live television.
One thing I think we can agree on is we shouldn't shut down the government over a dispute. And you want to shut it down. You keep talking about it.
The last time, Chuck, you shut it down.
No.
And then you opened it up very quickly. And
20 times.
I don't want to do what you did.
20 times
Chuck,
you have called for, I will shut down the government if I don't get my wall. None of us have said.
You want to know something?
You've said it.
Okay, you want to put that on my...
You've said it.
I'll take it.
Okay, good.
You know what I'll say? Yes. If we don't get what we want, one way or the other, whether it's through you, through a military, through anything you want to call, I will shut down the government.
Okay,
absolutely.
fair enough.
And I am proud, and I'll tell you what,
disagree.
I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems and drugs pouring into our country. So I will take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it. The last time you shut it down, it didn't work. I will take the mantle of shutting down. And I'm going to shut it down for border
But we
security.
believe you shouldn't shut it down.
The new power dynamic in Washington pointed fingers, raised their voices, and constantly interrupted one another.
Excuse me.
It was the first meeting between the three in over a year and was supposed to be closed to the press. But after the cameras were summoned at the last minute, Pelosi and Schumer pleaded with Trump to have this fight behind closed doors.
I don't think we should have a debate in front of the press on this.
Let's debate in private. Okay? Yeah.
As things heated up, Trump implying Pelosi was only taking a tough stance because she wants to nail down votes to become Speaker.
I also know that, Nancy's in a situation where it's not easy for her to talk right now, but we have to have border security.
Mr. President, please don't characterize the strength that I bring to this meeting as the leader of the House Democrats who just won a big victory.
And we've gained in the Senate. Nancy, we've gained in the Senate. Excuse me, did we win the Senate? We won the Senate.
When the president brags that he won North Dakota and Indiana, he's in real trouble.
I did.
Let me say this.
We did win
Let me say this.
North Dakota
This
and
is the
Indiana.
most unfortunate.
Schumer then telling Trump
Elections have consequences, Mr. President.
Let me just say.
it only got worse after reporters left the room. Schumer later telling reporters this while still standing in front of the West Wing.
This Trump shutdown, this temper tantrum that he seems to throw, will not get him his wall, and it'll hurt a lot of people because he will cause a shutdown. He admitted he wanted a shutdown.
The meeting coming to a close without a resolution and only increasing chances of a government shutdown next week. Now, Jake, you mentioned how when Nancy Pelosi got back to Capitol Hill, she was talking about this with the members of the Democratic caucus, questioning President Trump's manhood privately, saying that the wall is associated with manhood for him as, quote, if manhood can be associated with President Trump. But she also cheered the fact that Schumer and Pelosi during that meeting got the president to say he will own a shutdown if it happens, not something that Republicans on Capitol Hill wanted to hear today.
All right, Caitlin Collins at the White House, thanks so much. Let's talk about this with my experts. Bill, you've worked in the White House. You're you alone at this table. Have you ever seen anything like that play out with cameras there or without cameras there?
Certainly not with cameras there, and not very often without, actually. I mean, it reminded me of, you go to a coffee shop sometimes, and there are some senior citizens at the next table who've been having lunch or breakfast or something for 20 years and love arguing with each other. And it's like you overhear and could you guys keep it down a little bit? Because I'm actually having a pleasant conversation here, and you guys are regurgitating this argument for the 25th time. That's what it was like, right? I mean, think of it, literally 3 people in their 70s, and Trump is good at dragging people down to his level. I mean, for Chuck Schumer to be, well, that's such a big deal to win what did you say, North Dakota,
North Dakota, Indiana,
You know,
yeah.
there are actually Democrats out there who probably don't appreciate the Democratic leader of the Senate throwing those states under the
Yeah.
bus.
I was just going to say, except for when old people argue at the coffee shop, they at least look at each other. How strange was that Chuck Schumer could not look at Trump in the eye? I thought Nancy Pelosi was fairly strong in that meeting. When Trump questioned her ability to lead the Democrats, she pushed right back. But then she threw it away after the meeting by falling into the Trump trap and essentially questioning his manhood, which just gives me flashbacks to the Republican primary when Marco Rubio was talking about his hands. Don't do that. You had a strong meeting. End it on a good note.
And yet, Angela, I have to say, they walked out with a little bit of sound that is going to really potentially haunt Republicans. President Trump saying that he will own any government shutdown. Take a listen.
If we don't have border security, we'll shut down the government. This country needs border security. The wall is a part of border security.
We will shut down the government, said President Trump. That's not what Republicans wanted him to say.
It's not what Republicans might have wanted him to say, but they knew what they were getting when they were getting this strong man, right? This is someone who pledged his campaign on not being afraid to back down from Democrats. This was an opportunity to show that he had gravitas in this room, and little does he know that part of being a statesman, which I think he should look up in the dictionary, is figuring out where you can compromise.